who is on your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling heels? So top four, and look, let's narrow this down a little bit. It doesn't have to be like who you think are the greatest of all time. Just like you personally, who do you like as pro wrestling heels?
Pro wrestling heels. Man. Well, I would probably put my father at the top of that list.
Was your dad a heel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's perfect.
Iron Mike DiBiase. And because he was my dad and because I learned just about everything I know by watching him, you know, and the way he carried himself as a heel. But I mean, that's a son, you know, putting over his dad.
Sure.
For sure. Again, Terry Funk.
Gotta be.
I mean, Terry Funk. I mean, and again, Terry could go either way. He could be the greatest baby face in the world. I mean, here's what you understand. It's like the NWA world champion. Now, the Funks are both from Texas, Amarillo, Texas. So when they were world champions, the only place that they were baby faces was in Texas, in the Amarillo territory where everybody knew them and knew they were from there. But in all the other territories, the world champion is a heel. And the reason is the world champion's a heel because when he comes to those different territories, they are going to put him against their top baby face.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the biggest draw. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, if you got a world champion coming in and he's a baby face and you put him on against your biggest heel, well, you're just going to want to see him win. But when you bring a guy in and he's the world champion and he's a heel and he's going to go up against your number one baby face, that's what you're really pulling for because you want to see your number one guy beat the other guy. I mean, it's just the way it worked. And so the only place that you were ever babyface as a world champion would be in your home territory. And for the Funks, that would have been Amarillo.
And Terry as a traveling heel champion, I mean, iconic stuff. I gotta imagine Harley Race is on your Mount Rushmore as well.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Just incredible heel.
Incredible heel. And same thing there. I mean, his home territory was Kansas City. You know, he and Bob Geigel and I think Pat O'Connor were partners in what was then called the Kansas City territory back in the territory era. And again, the only place that Harley was a babyface was in Kansas City. It worked the same way there. But yeah, definitely on top of my list as one of the best.
One more for that Mount Rushmore to be completed.
Man. There's so many guys. I mean, you know, it's kind of like I think about like my tag team partner in Japan, Stan Hansen.
Oh, great one.
Stan was, you know, I mean, he was and Bruiser Brody.
Yep.
You know, here's another guy who was a tremendous heel.
All right, so we have to make 5 spots on the Mount Rushmore so we can add Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody. I think that
works. Okay. Colonel Buck Robley.
That is not one I was expecting. Buck Robley.
Buck Robley was one heck of a heel. I mean, he could, you know, again, he's another guy who could do it all, but I don't know. Maybe that's pushing it a little bit.
No,
but,
hey, look, this is your Mount Rushmore of heels.
Yeah,
so if Buck Robley's on there, he's on there.
A lot of the guys, like the guys we've mentioned, are all guys that had influence in the development of me as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Race, the Funks, those guys. Uh, those guys were the biggest influence on me, and of course my dad. So
Great ones. No, I think that's perfect for your personal Mount Rushmore. I think it's different for everybody.